welcome to the Dungeons and Dragons and Contemporary Art panel, moderated by the fabulous Tavis Allison, with whom I played my first Dungeons and Dragons game. So, and yes, these are our fabulous panelists, and I will leave the rest up to Tavis to introduce and explain.
I'm Tavis Allison. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this panel came to be, and then I'm going to have our panelists introduce ourselves. I run Dungeons and Dragons games here in the city. As you're on your way out, you'll see some cards from New York Red Box, and that's the group that I run games with. So if you too want to join Allegra in throwing dice and dying in horrible ways, look at the card. Chris was a player in the very first original Dungeons and Dragons game that I ran here in the city. And so we've been getting together to play, and at some point he was like, hey, you should come to this art show that I'm doing. And I'm like, that's super interesting, you're an artist. And then at Gen Con Indy, I went to a show called The Cursed Chateau, which was an exhibition at Indianapolis Museum of Contemporary Art that combined traditional Dungeons and Dragons illustration with new contemporary art that was inspired by those same pieces. And I was absolutely blown away by it. And then later I was wandering the gallery halls, and they had a set of dice for the play-generated maps and documents archive, and a collection of things like dungeon maps and character sheets that were being assembled and curated and considered as a kind of folk art. And I said, wow, that's super interesting as well. It turned out that both of these were the work of Tim Hutchins, who was also a gamer here in New York. And so then I had these two connections. That's interesting. I was looking for an image on my blog, a piece that I could use to illustrate something. And I came across a piece that Ryan had done called Cloak of Invisibility. So I emailed him and I was like, it seems like you're a Dungeons and Dragons player. He's like, yeah, I am. So Tim and Chris and I started an email conversation, which you can read on the blog The Mule Abides. We're posting the sort of history of that discussion. And that snowballed into bringing the other people in the panel who are here today, who will introduce themselves, I guess, right now.
My name is Casey Jack Smith. I'm an artist in San Jose, California.
I'm Sean McCarthy. I'm an artist here in New York.
I'm Ryan Browning. I'm an artist and living in DC area, Maryland.
I'm Chris Haggerty, and I'm an artist living in Bushwick, Brooklyn.
I'm Tim Hutchings, and I'm an artist who lives in Brooklyn, in Bay Ridge, which is lacking, kind of.